Okay. Hi, everyone. As you all are popping in, hey. Um, Hi, good to see you all. The audio is going to be on mute, and you're welcome to show your picture and your face, but we'll open it up at the end for any questions. And we're going to get started in just a moment. People will start filtering in just a little bit at a time. But while we are just waiting for folks, just take a moment and before we dive into this stuff today, just take a moment and check in, tune in to yourself, and just bring your awareness to your physical body and notice any stressors in your body, any tension. You may notice thoughts circling in your mind. That's okay. That's why we're doing this. So just take a moment and become aware of this. And then on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the most stressed out and the highest, first number that comes to mind, whatever number that is, don't judge it, don't analyze it, just notice the number and put it aside right now. So those of you who are just popping in, we're tuning in. And just notice on a scale from 1 to 10, first number that comes to mind, what's your stress level? And that number we're going to put aside just so we have a marker so we can measure things. And now let's just bring the awareness to the very center of your heart. And we're going to do a couple rounds of breath just before we dive in. And this is research proven. We're going to inhale in through the nose. We're going to take another sip of air. And then on the exhale out, we're going to make an audible sigh like this. You're going to feel kind of silly. It's weird, but it's just unfamiliar and all the more reason to do it and make what's unfamiliar familiar because this is activating your body's natural calming system, the vagus nerve. All right, so let's empty all the breath out. Bring the awareness back to your heart. Breathe in. Let's take another sip of air and exhale out. Good, just like that. Breathing in again. Another sip of air. Exhaling out. Make that sound. One last time. Breathing in. Another sip of air. And now exhale all the way out. And just feel your body now. And just notice if you notice any tingly sensation that you may have activated in your body's natural calming system. And if you don't notice anything right now, that's okay too. But from this centered place, a little bit more relaxed place, I wonder if you could imagine something for a moment. And just for a moment, imagine what your life would be like if you still had all the same problems and the challenges, but without all the stress, the anxiety, the overthinking, without that grip. You know what I'm talking about? That pressure, that tension. Because I discovered an approach, it's a method, and it helps you overcome overthinking, release this resistance, and achieve clarity. And it's a whole lot quicker. And it's very simple. It's incredibly powerful. And it's two words. You ready? It's, you ready? Stop it. That's what it is. It's more than just a Bob Newhart sketch. It's actually something that my mother used to shout at me every time I got upset. Growing up, my mother would shout, "Stop it, Carolyn, go put your feelings in a drawer and then come talk to me." I was a very literal kid, so I would. I would actually go to my room and I'd shove my head in my underwear drawer and I'd cry in there. And I'd think, like, why am I doing this? Because it didn't really help. It stopped my emotions in the heat of the moment, but I never really learned how to process them. And most people don't. They try to get rid of them. They try to fix the way they feel. And so today, we're not going to try to get rid of anything because you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. We're just going to bring an awareness back to the body. And when you do this, the body's designed to let go. It's very powerful. So I'm going to walk you through a couple real wonderful techniques, and I'll bring you into some deeper relaxation. We're going to install and code into the deeper part of your mind, some new ways of responding to this fear response. And afterwards, you're going to awaken feeling refreshed and like I had a good, nice long rest, and we'll open it up for questions. Okay, sound good? So if you have any questions, jot them down and we'll circle back with it. But before we dive into everything, hi, I'm Carolyn Barnes, and I am a clinical hypnotherapist. Before I got into this, really quickly, about 10 years ago, I was actually a health and weight loss coach, and I was starring on ABC television for one of their weight loss series. And, while on the outside, I looked like I had it all together, and I really played the part behind the scenes. And in my own mind, I was falling apart. I was overthinking everything, overanalyzing. I was filled with so much self-doubt, fear. Fear was running the show. And I remember this one day on the set very vividly, and I'll never forget. I was having an anxiety attack, and I didn't realize it at the time. And my knees started to buckle, and I started to collapse. And the paramedics who were there for the contestants come rushing over to me, and they take my blood pressure, and it spiked to 210 over 180, which meant I was on the verge of a heart attack or a stroke. And as they're putting me into the ambulance, I'm completely freaking out, but not about whether I'm going to live or die. I'm freaking out. I'm panicking about what people are thinking of me. Like somehow I'm bad and wrong and this was all my fault. Am I going to get fired? And did I ruin everybody's day up, on the set? And so these looping thoughts felt very real and urgent. And I just want to invite you, just for a moment, to shine some awareness. Have you ever had any thoughts that felt really urgent, when you're in those rabbit holes? So just take a moment and see if you can bring your awareness to any thought loops that may keep you up at night, that you have to really hurry and figure out, and see if you can bring some awareness because they feel very urgent in the moment. But when you maybe later reflect, you may realize that they're not necessarily the truth. It's just simply a signaling system trying to get your attention. And so just take a deep breath in here and just breathe in. And if you notice any thoughts right now, that's fine. If you don't, that's okay too. We're not here to judge anything, okay? We're just bringing an awareness to something. And that's where change begins to take place with awareness. And I want you to really think of it like this. Okay. You ever have an argument with somebody and you know for certain you're right and they're wrong? Anybody married or have any kids? But of course, they think that they're right and that you're wrong. And then the more you try to prove your side, the more defensive they become and they argue their side. And the next thing you know, the two of you are back and forth in a tug of war between who's right and who's wrong. And this is exhausting, right? Well, did you realize that the same thing happens between you and your own mind? And this is your mind here. And this is between your conscious mind, really quickly, and then we'll dive into things. And this is between the 5% of you, which is what you want, and your subconscious programming, which is 95%. And this is your stress response. This is everything that's automatic, your thoughts, your behaviors, your response to your stress response, and it's your belief system. And what this means is if a part of you wants something, you want to create a change, or you want something that's good for you and you deserve it, but there's not a belief that's positive supporting it. Instead, you got these negative beliefs. I'm not good enough. I can't. You may not know what they are right yet. But if you don't have a belief supporting you, well, now you're in a tug of war between you, and you're fighting for what you want, while another part of you, this 95%, this bigger part, is defending your limitations while you activate your stress response. And if you keep this up, now you have overthinking. This is the thought loop pattern. You with me? And which part of you do you think is going to win? What you want or that 95%? This is why change is so uncomfortable. It feels so challenging, and it's why it's really tricky for so many people. So today, we're not going to create these changes by forcing anything. We're going to do this by bringing in awareness, by bringing the breath, and by bridging the gap between what you want and your subconscious programming so that together we create 100% results. And if there's a part of you that's going, not going to work, that's okay. That's why we're doing it. And we're going to work with that part because that's how we create change by not getting rid of anything, but by working with all parts of us together so that we come back to a wholeness and create a whole sense of being and make decisions from this centered place. And you'll find when you do this, a lot of solutions come forward much more easily and naturally because it's never the problem. That's the problem. It's how we feel about the problem that becomes the bigger issue, right? Think about that for a second. So, as you're just noticing the problem right now, just bring your awareness to maybe one or two, don't make it a level 10 problem, but a problem that you might be experiencing in your life. And just notice that you're not in the problem. We're going to just push it out for a moment, maybe put it in a TV box, like you're editing or you're just observing it, and you're over here. And just take a moment and bring to mind that thought script that's in that scene about the problem. See if you could do that. Maybe you want to close your eyes for a moment and just notice what thoughts do you have about the problem. And now I wonder if you can bring your awareness back to your physical body and notice where you feel the sensations when you think about the problem. Maybe you put your hand on that area. Maybe it's in your throat or your head. When you bring your hand to the physical body, you create a connection. And this connection interconnects both the mind and the body. Both hemispheres of your brain start working together. And as you bring your awareness to the tension you might be experiencing in your body right now, just ask yourself, does your body have the right to respond this way? It's not your fault. It's just the body is having a response to a thought, a problem. And just notice if you need all that extra energy, all that tension for your survival, because the last time I checked, there's no lions out there chasing you, no clowns with machetes coming after you. So do you need all this energy to protect yourself? And just notice and breathe into that space. Do you need to hold your breath, not liking the problem? And can you let that go? And just notice, just for a moment, bringing your awareness back to the problem and just breathe in and breathing out. And as you imagine this problem, maybe you notice the tension as a color, first color that comes to mind. Maybe it's a shape. And if you can use your imagination and notice with every exhale out, see if you can get that color with those exhales out to fade. And just notice what that's like when you do. And just take a moment right now and breathe. And just notice which part of your body is beginning to loosen its grip just a little bit at a time. See if you could become aware of this. Because when we stop that script from playing in our head and we tune into our physical body instead, this is how we stop that tug of war. we let go of the rope and we start changing our focus, not on being right, but on feeling our way right back into our alignment, back into our center. And it's very powerful. And it's a practice, just like learning how to ride a bicycle. You practiced. You didn't learn the very first time you put your foot on the pedals. You wobbled on and off at first, right? It was tricky. But sooner or later you learned, and then you may have been off riding with your friends before you even knew it. So this is all a practice. And how we get rid of fear is not by fighting it or ignoring it or suppressing it. I used to overeat, overdrink, you name it, over everything. And that just tucks it away into the body. So it's about acknowledgement and awareness and using our breath so that we begin training the nervous system that we're safe, not liking something. So I'm going to show you a very powerful technique right now. It's called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. It's very powerful. It's been around for centuries. It's called tapping. If you've heard of this, if anybody's ever heard of this before. And we're going to take two fingers and we're going to start tapping this meaty part of the hand. And we're tapping on certain meridian points, and this moves energy. So think of a problem right now that you've been experiencing some fear or hesitation about. And as you bring that into your awareness, just sort of begin tapping, just on this meaty, fleshy part of your hand here. And as you breathe in, it's going to seem a little silly, but we're going to say a new script. And we're going to say, even though I'm feeling this fear, my body has permission to let go. So that we create a new script versus the script, the story that was playing in your mind about the problem. We're going to bring our awareness back here and begin tapping. Even though I feel the fear, my body has permission to let go. And you can come up with your own script, even though I feel, and fill in the blank, whatever it is, and just tap. And now bring those fingers to the top of the head, if you'd like. You'll feel silly, ridiculous even, but as you do this, the more you do this, the more familiar it becomes, and you're just making what's unfamiliar familiar. Okay? And you may want to tap over your eye, and you're moving energy while you just keep your awareness on this problem. Now the side of your eye. And just notice which part of you begins relaxing as your breath begins to let go underneath the eye. And as you continue thinking about this problem, you're desensitizing it by noticing the feelings and sensations. Even though I'm feeling this fear or discomfort, you don't have to like it. Nobody says you do. Who does? And just notice how your body begins to feel a little bit more safe in not liking something. And breathe. And just notice if that number has gone down just a little bit than what it was when we first hopped on. And this tool, by the way, once you really start to practice it, and it's a practice, it works very fast when you really hone in on this. And, if you feel uncomfortable or embarrassed in the beginning, good. All the more reason to practice doing it and taking what's unfamiliar, making it familiar. You may see me on the 101 freeway tapping, even though I feel so pissed off, but it works. Although my hands are on the wheel, so maybe one hand's on top of my head. But the more you practice this, the easier it becomes and the more automatic it becomes as a tool for any time you feel this disruption in your energy. Because emotions are energy in motion. Get it? Emotion. And we have a tendency to really judge them. but it's not about judging them. They're a very valid part of us with a very important function. And they're designed to get our attention. And when we don't pay attention, well, we increase our attention in the body and it gets bigger, it grows because it's a messaging system. And there's information in there. It's trying to get you to pay attention to whatever it is you need to do differently for next time. Or maybe you need to understand something in a new way. Or maybe it's time to let go of something like a belief you've been carrying around that doesn't serve you. So, with all these awarenesses, we're going to just take a moment and we're going to drop this into a deeper part of the mind. And you may want to close your eyes if you haven't done so. And you could just take a breath and you can notice. And as you begin to close your eyes and notice your breathing, just breathing in and breathing out. Because right now there's nothing to do or figure out. Just notice how the air is a little cooler on the inhale in. Maybe it's a little warmer on the exhale out. See if you can draw your awareness to how the air is a little cooler on that inhale in and slightly warmer on the exhale out. Because once a person notices that contrast, they naturally and automatically begin to relax more. Now, I want to remind you that throughout this process, you don't need to listen to this consciously. You don't need to listen to every word that I say because your mind really isn't designed to sit still, which means that anytime you may find yourself drifting away, that's fine. You can always find your way back into my voice. My voice can comfort, it could guide you in the exact right way that's just right for you. But for right now, if you haven't already closed your eyes, you can also find a focal point, if that helps. Noticing your breathing, just breathing in and breathing out, so that we can begin bringing in new ideas to that deeper part of the mind, allowing them to integrate. And just notice that part of you, the fearful part, and just give it permission to exist right now. Bring your attention back to that part and breathe. And acknowledge this part in your mind. Maybe you say, I acknowledge you. Again, you don't have to like it. Just bring it to your awareness. That's all you need to do. And bring your attention to the tension and breathe. And maybe you can ask that part, what's most important? And just listen. So that part can become part of the process. So that part can become part of the process of you moving towards what you actually want versus away from what you're afraid of. And just notice while you breathe in and breathing out. And maybe you can begin to ask that part what it needs. What does it need from you? Maybe it needs acceptance or approval, or to feel seen or heard, understood. Just listen with your heart. We're not judging it. You're just listening, tuning in. What does it need from you? Maybe it needs unconditional love. Maybe another part of you is going, oh gosh, what's that? You're just making something that's unfamiliar familiar. And you're training your nervous system that it's safe. And as you just continue breathing slowly and deeply, just each breath, soothing your body and just calming your mind. As you just continue to drift, you may notice every word I say, or maybe you notice the space in between the words. That's fine. But as you continue breathing slowly and deeply, each breath soothing your body just calming the mind. I wonder if you could notice all the little muscles around your eyes and your jaw, just beginning to release, relax, let go. And see if you can notice all the little muscles behind the back of your neck. Unwind. By the time you begin to let go of all those little muscles down the back of your neck, you can go ahead and release, relax all those muscles down your back right now. Go ahead and do that right now. Because this is your time for you. And I wonder if you can bring your awareness to both legs. Maybe you notice the backs of your legs right now and the chair or the surface that's beneath you, the support. And I wonder how limp and loose the backs of your legs can become when you just breathe. And if a part of you is distracted, that's okay. That's why we're doing this. This is all a practice. And I wonder if you can notice which side, the right side or the left side, is more relaxed. And just bring your attention to that most relaxed part, because wherever we focus, it expands. And as you focus on which part is already most relaxed right now, good, just like that, breathing in. Good, and breathing out. Nothing to do or figure out. Just noticing as you continue to drift right now. It might be reassuring to recognize that there is a part of your mind that already knows how to learn, even without knowing that it's learning. And this may or may not make sense to your conscious mind. And that's okay, because there's other parts of your mind that are beyond your conscious awareness that are very comfortable with this awareness. It's kind of like the very first time you learned how to walk. In the beginning, you fell down a lot, right? It was tricky. But then you learned how to pull yourself up, how to sit up, how to balance. You learned how to put one foot in front of the other. Sooner or later, you just walked without even realizing that you learned. Or like when you learn how to count your fingers on your hand, at one point, you didn't even realize your hand was your hand, but then you learned you have 5 fingers. You have 2 hands. Now you have 10. Now it's just something you know. Or can you remember when you learned how to drive a car? All those things you had to pay attention to. You had the blinkers. You click it up, you turn right, you click it down, you turn left. There's so many things you had to pay attention to, right? You had the brakes, the steering, staying in your lane. But then one day your mind and your body put it all together into one complete action. Now you could just get in the car and go. Well, isn't it nice to know that part of your mind is here with you right now? And it can learn new ways of responding, new ways of feeling, new ways of responding to that fear response. Because they're just patterns. That's it. They're just patterns that we all do in life. They're just patterns. And your old outdated patterns, your old outdated programs, these old outdated scripts, they have a function. They did things for you. They gave you things. But did you realize that there are other ways to get all the positive benefits that these old patterns used to give you, but without having to do those patterns in the same way in the future? And you may or may not know what they are right now. That's okay. You just need to know that it's possible. So now I'd like to ask that very creative part of your mind, that very deep part of your mind that already knows how to learn, to come up with new patterns, new ways, and to check in with you, make sure it's okay. And work together with that part. So you begin integrating new patterns, but only at a rate and at a speed that's just right as is right for you. But you'll just have a tendency to do so from this moment forward. And just breathe. breathing in and breathing out. Each breath soothing your body and calming the mind. And I wonder if you could imagine what your life would be like if fear didn't exist. What if it just were erased? What if it were gone? Just take a moment. If there's any resistance, welcome it. Good. Just bring your attention on that tension, acknowledge it. You're just training your nervous system right now. And what if you woke up tomorrow without any hesitation? No inner critic judging you or whispering that you're not ready? What if it were not there telling you you're unworthy, you're not enough? What would you do then? Ask yourself. Let any tension, permission to exist, and breathe. What decisions would you make? What doors would you want to kick open if this fear just weren't even an issue? What would you do? What if you knew that you couldn't fail? What now? Because we're simply introducing a new idea to that deeper part of the mind. We're simply overriding old operating software of your thinking, of your behavior, so that you become more congruent with who you already are, with who you are just beneath the surface of your discomfort. And so if you notice any anxiety or any resistance in this experience, you could just simply return back to your breath, notice it, and as you exhale twice as long, and just bring your attention to the tension. I want to remind you that the real problem is not fear itself, because it's very primitive and it's designed to protect you. It's very ancient. It's a very ancient part of your mind, breathing in and breathing out. It's designed to protect you. And the real problem is believing it, because those thoughts feel very urgent, very real. And it's the feeling, which is real. So acknowledge the feeling first, so that you feel your way back into your alignment. Because fear is designed to protect you, not to lead you. And the real problem is believing it and obeying it, letting the fear call the shots. Because somewhere along the line, maybe you learned, or part of you learned, somewhere along the line, that fear gets to hold the steering wheel in the car, your body, and it gets to make the decisions in your life. But now, as you just notice your breathing, as you may already begin to notice, just returning back to your breath. And the slower your exhale becomes, the quicker you activate your body's natural calming system. And as you exhale twice as long right now, breathing in, you can allow your muscles to soften, maybe your jaw to relax, your thoughts to begin to drift again, your body just to begin to unwind, because you're about to start a whole new stage in your evolution, in your awareness, and you're learning how to take control over the very thing that once controlled you. Because you can feel fear when you're actually about to grow and expand, and you can feel fear when your comfort zone is being challenged. You could feel fear when you are on the edge of change, and you can remind your nervous system, there's no clowns with machetes. We're safe. I can breathe. Exhaling out twice as long right now. Because Most people take fear as a signal to stop. And they freeze. They wait for courage or motivation in order to move forward. And it doesn't work that way. There might always be a little bit of fear, and that's fine. It's about recognizing it and moving despite it so that your nervous system adapts to discomfort, creating comfort in your very own discomfort. Because courage does not come before action. Okay? Courage becomes in spite of the fear being there and you taking action. Courage comes after you take action. And the same with motivation. And you can let go of the fear as you just simply notice you can move through it, just one step at a time, so that each and every sign of fear becomes this invitation to stop that script from playing in your mind, in your head, and tune into your body instead. And just breathe, observe, oxygenate as you exhale twice as long, so that every sign of fear becomes this invitation, a doorway to act, to shift, to grow even stronger. Because every time you act in the presence of fear, you train your mind and body a whole new language, one that says, I'm choosing to move despite the fear. I'm choosing to move closer to what actually matters to me. I'm moving closer to what matters to me. So breathe that in right now. As you exhale out, maybe you can imagine your body melting like a big block of ice under a hot sun on a warm summer day. So with every exhale out, you may notice that ice melting a little bit more, because fear is a script. It's a story. It's one that you've rehearsed. You've rehearsed this over and over and over again. We all do this. It's designed to protect. It's a story that may say you're not ready, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, or they're going to reject you, or there's no work right now. Things are bad, and it feels very urgent and real, and the feelings are. So I want you to imagine gently floating outside your body and hovering above. Just for a moment. Notice yourself down here. And the higher you float, the more you can see that you down here are on a timeline of your life now. Maybe you notice in one direction your past stretches out. Maybe it's to the left, or some people may notice it behind them. See if you can become aware of your past. Wherever you notice is fine. And then notice how your future stretches out in another direction. Maybe it's to your right. Maybe it's in front of you. Whatever you notice is fine. And now from up there, as you look down there on your physical body in the space that you're in, notice how your past timeline and your future timeline join together, right where you are right now. And that now is the point. It's a pivot point between your past and your future. And the point is that the past is over. It's just done. It's a source of experiences, of lessons, and of learnings that brought you to where you are today. But what you choose from this moment forward, how you choose to respond, the thoughts that you choose to say to yourself, that creates your future. So I wonder if you might make different choices, knowing that you can choose a new outcome. And if you were to choose to go into your future first, maybe you notice some resistance, something from your past just dragging you back. So just stop for a moment. Maybe you sit back in your mind and breathe, breathing in and breathing out. And I wonder if you can notice you up there. What did you up there need to know down here? What did that part of you down here need to understand differently or learn or do differently? And shed some light on that. Whether you know now or in a moment from now or in your outer awake conscious life, it'll be known in the exact right way that's just right for you. But as you're just noticing what script you are holding in your hand right now that you've been rehearsing, just float above yourself one more time. What have you been rehearsing down there on your timeline up until now? What story have you been telling yourself? What script is just familiar? Doesn't mean it's true. It just means it's familiar. And see if you can notice this script, those old tired pages of the role that you've been playing because it's just become familiar and you've rehearsed it over and over again. What are you willing to finally let go of? What familiar lies have you been telling yourself that just are not true? And rip those pages out of the script. Rip them out. You don't need them. Just rip them out. You can just rip each page out of the scene of all the scenes of your life where fear caused hesitation, and just rip them out and crumble them up. And imagine there were a big fire. And you can go up and down your timeline and you can continue ripping those pages out over each scene where fear had the best of you. Up and down your timeline and rip them out, throw them into the fire. If any resistance comes up, good, allow it to be there. It's just energy moving through your body, nothing to judge. And just toss them in the fire one by one, page by page, because you don't need it anymore. Just because it's familiar doesn't mean you got to do another rehearsal. And by the time you've ripped out all those pages up and down your timeline, each one, maybe you notice the smoke in the air of the scenes that held you back. Maybe you open a window or a door as the smoke leaves your body. The room begins to fade. Because just like any script, you can go back to the writer's room, right? And you can rewrite it. Because you already know the fear is not the truth. It's a primitive part of your mind. It was repetition. And repetition does not make it real, it just makes it familiar. But I wonder if you can begin to notice that your relationship to your fear is beginning to change at a deeper unconscious level. Because fear was built by rehearsal. And if fear is built by rehearsal, well, so is strength, so is courage, so is confidence. And you can return back to your breath, breathing in, breathing out. And you can rehearse calm while you exhale twice as long out and activate your body's natural calming system. You can rehearse what calm feels like, looks like, and sounds like. Because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's a real imagined experience from your past or a real imagined experience that you can create in your future, which is why thoughts feel very urgent and real. If any resistance shows up, good. Good. Breathe. And now, I wonder if you can notice on your timeline somewhere there, your future self. See if you can become aware of this, that future version of you, and you've already solved this problem. And gently float into this future you and look through those eyes. See what you see, hear what you hear, and feel what it feels like having already solved this. And as you look back at yourself right now, ask yourself, well, what did you need to learn? What shifts did you make? And then take those awarenesses back with you. Imagine you can just pour them into a cup of water. And if you could simply imagine what it might feel like drinking a cup of water right now so you digest, assimilate, and integrate what's most important. As you float back over yourself right now, ask yourself, what would you be willing to start doing differently? Just a little bit, so that you overcome this problem or this challenge. What would you be willing to start doing differently? And imagine if you could simply see yourself, hear yourself, and feel yourself, and create a blueprint of this. This is coding. And rehearse, just like an actor rehearses a part. Immerse yourself into the role and really see yourself, hear yourself, feel yourself doing what you might be willing to start doing differently. And then ask yourself, what would you be willing to stop doing so that you can overcome this problem? What would you be willing to stop doing? And imagine this movie playing. Maybe it's on an editing machine, and just reverse it and see it going backwards. You can hear it going backwards. Maybe you see lights flickering backwards, just while you say to yourself, nope, that was in the past. I don't do that anymore. So that you train your unconscious mind. This is the direction that you're headed in. And if you could simply imagine doing those things that you might be willing to start doing, stopping those things that you're willing to stop doing, as you float forward, just day by day, week by week, you're practicing just how you practice learning how to drive a car. It was frustrating in the beginning. Your mind and body were learning something new, which meant you're getting closer to what you actually want, which is to feel calm, relaxed, in control. Things are becoming easier as you float forward, day by day, week by week, month by month. You may notice a version of you a little bit more self-assured, more relaxed, more confident, just slightly, and float into this version and look through those eyes, see what you see, hear what you hear, and feel what it feels like as you become familiar with a slightly more confident version of you, more self-assured, because in front of you is an even more self-assured version of you, a little clearer. This version of you has learned not to feed into the lies, but tune into the body and breathe and recalibrate. And as you float forward a few more weeks from now, there's another version of you, more passionate, more excited, more creative, more self-assured, more calm and relaxed. Float into this version. Look through those eyes. See what you see, hear what you hear, and feel what it feels like overcoming problems and challenges in the exact right way that's just right for you. Because you can do it. Surprise yourself as your mind generates new ways to overcome these obstacles. In the past, you may have noticed that any time you're talking to yourself negatively, You can now choose a fair tone of voice, constructive words. You notice you're kinder to yourself. This is a practice. We don't learn this, but now you can choose to teach all parts of you that they're worthy of putting in the effort. They're worthy of being treated kindly because you set the standard. And as you float forward even more, day by day, week by week, month by month, till it's an entire year into the future, and you've learned easily, and it's been the best year ever. And in order for it to be the best year ever, 1 year into the future, as you float into this, look through those eyes, see what you see, and hear what you hear, and feel what it feels like. If there's any resistance, you're just making unfamiliar familiar. You're training your nervous system. And just notice, it's been the best year ever. And for this to be true, what must have happened with work, with finances? It's been the best year ever. What must have happened in your relationships, with your health? What must have happened if this were the best year ever? Because when you notice what must have happened, you're training your unconscious mind. This is the direction we're headed in. While we train our nervous system that it's safe and that you're listening, you're tuning in, and bring those awarenesses back into your body right now and reorient as you become aware of what's most important for you today. And just breathe. And as you notice the rest of your day right now, you'll just find yourself feeling stronger physically, more alert, more energized, more aligned, so that every day in every way your nerves become stronger and steadier, your mind is calmer. It's just clear, you're more peaceful, more at ease. You begin to see things in their true perspective, not disproportionate. And breathe. Because the most important takeaway is all that tension and fear might be who you think you should be. So relax first. Come back to your center, back to your heart, and exhale twice as long so that you come back to who you already are, which is just beneath the surface of that tension. And as you integrate all that's important right now at 0, we're going to take a deep cleansing breath, becoming aware, noticing your hands, your fingers, your toes, maybe the room and the space that you're in right now. At 1, and now at 2, breathing in all that energy. Maybe you notice which part of you feels just a little bit stronger. Focus there. Notice the expansion when you do. At 3, you may want to yawn and stretch, opening your eyes at 4, coming back into the room and the space that we're in right now at 5, so that at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes open and wide awake. Bringing yourself back. You can show me your picture and we're going to unmute for any questions, but coming back into the room. Some of you may have conked out, that's okay. Just coming back into your awareness. Maybe Paul needs to hear his name again, Paul, or not, but that's okay. And just notice. We're going to open up for questions, but just notice how you're feeling right now. If you're a little bit disoriented, just clap your hands and just feel the energy in your hands. Brings you back into your body pretty quickly. And if this is helpful to you, then join me for the next session on June 22nd, and we're going to really break down the acronym STOP IT and really, get into some fine tuning with overthinking thoughts, because that's where change really takes place. But it's all about learning how to work with your nervous system. And if you want any support any sooner, you can go to my website, carolynbarnes.com, and there's a free audio on there. You can just scroll to where it says access your free audio. And when you do, you'll also get more tools coming into your email box. And it's just there to help you and support you. And I also, just for ACE members, I created a big discount for my membership site. If you're at all interested, nothing urgent, but if you need more support sooner, it's like over 60% off. And the coupon code is ACE. You'll get an email about this. And if you want one-on-one support, big discount there for ACE members. So just reminding you. And if we want to unmute, if anybody has any questions, I'll stay on for a little longer.